Harvey Weinstein has been convicted on rape and criminal sex charges in New York.
Wendy Patrick joins us now with what's next for today's Inside the Law. Wendy, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so let's get through this because he was acquitted of the more serious charges, 3 of them. He still faces 5 to 29 years in jail. What exactly was he found guilty of in terms of, there was a 3rd-degree rape, there was a 1st-degree rape. Explain that all.
Well, he was found guilty of the sexual crimes against 2 particular women. What he was not found guilty of is, remember, there was another actress who was allowed to come in and testify, Annabelle Sciorra. He was not found guilty of the charge involving her. They went on a patterns make the predator theory, and had that been also a conviction, it would have exposed him to a much longer potential stint in prison. But even though we only have 2 convictions, this was a victory for these women and women everywhere. This has been the end of an era. Remember Harvey Weinstein? He was the toast of Tinseltown. Sometimes we forget how far he has fallen. Not only him, but others who were swept up in the Me Too movement when women broke their silence and came forward, safety in numbers, and told their stories and explained what happened to them. So even though we just do have the convictions on those 2 counts, for women everywhere that were affected by Harvey Weinstein, justice delayed has not been justice denied. Where does he go now? They're going to ship him off to California, and he's going to be tried in Los Angeles. So we're just beginning with the trial of Harvey Weinstein. And who knows who's next? You know, this has not just been a verdict on a man, but on a movement. And there may be other cases against other perpetrators as well.
Yeah.
Talking about the time that he's going to serve, I've seen a lot of criticism and from people saying that's it, like 5 years, 6 years, 8 years. I think we had an attorney on a few days ago saying that he could possibly serve only 8 years of that time. Is that enough?
Well, remember that these cases originated when we still had long statutes of limitations, or too short, and now we have, of course, longer ones. And the problem with that is you don't have enough victims that fall within the charging range. So there may have been a lot more victims we could have charged, but their cases were too old. So that's the problem, that's the challenge, is that we work with what we have, but sometimes we don't have as many victims as we would like. Remember, we saw that in Bill Cosby as well. Very few of those cases were actionable because the rest of them were too old. But remember, litigation leads to legislation. These cases have led to laws changing.
That's the key.
To take away the statutes. That's right, so that more cases would be eligible for similar crimes in the future.
Because the goal here is we don't want the same kind of stuff to ever happen to anybody again moving forward.
Right.
Do we have enough information to compare the case that we're about to get here in California, in LA, with Harvey Weinstein, with what happened in New York? Are there more serious charges? Are they similar charges? Are there more victims? Are there more witnesses?
Well,
what do we expect?
Well, remember that the charges against Mr. Weinstein on both coasts are basically the same. They have to do with rape and sexual assault. The challenge in any jurisdiction, when you already have somebody who's just been convicted of similar charges, is finding jurors that can give them a fair trial, notwithstanding the circumstances. And I'm sure Los Angeles will be able to do that. But the message that this sends, both to Mr. Weinstein, to his lawyers, and to women that have been impacted, is that this is something that is basically a social climate change. What I would expect to happen now, remember there was a culture of complicity surrounding these incidents as they happened.
There always is.
There always is, and they're going to be going after naming and shaming the enablers. How did this happen? How can there possibly be 100 women who have come forward in one way or another claiming some kind of sexual misconduct against Mr. Weinstein? Same thing with other perpetrators. How did that go on for so long without anybody coming forward? Silence is not golden if you're a sexual assault victim.
Very good point.
This shines a spotlight as to what it looks like. It's not a stranger leaping out of the bushes. It's more often committed by someone you know.
It's a great point. These powerful men and people in these positions can't get away with this without a group of enablers around them, protecting them at some point. We've seen it before. Okay, Wendy Patrick, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.